Today on the Tiger Lacrosse Report, we'll preview the Tigers' season opener against Mount St. Mary's. Get ready, fans. The Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
Wise Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl and chocolate-covered pretzel. How could you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas. The Towson Tigers will kick off their season on the road against Mount St. Mary's this Saturday. As always, I'm joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. Shawn, welcome back. Happy spring, even though we're still in the midst of winter.
How can you say it's the midst of winter? It's beautiful outside. Beautiful weather, haven't had any snow. I'm sure it'll come. It'll come.
All right, Coach, you're coming off, obviously, the most successful year Towson has had in over a decade, going 16-3, making it to the Final 8. You also have a lot of changes for this year on one end of the field, and that's the defensive end, and that's the part we really need to talk about. You basically lost your entire defense, close defense. Mm-hmm. How do you move forward this season?
Well, one, it starts with recruiting. You look to obviously be able to reload with players that you bring into the program. And last year we had 3 seniors starting at close defense. They weren't the only guys on our team, that played defense. There was, guys younger than them that obviously were preparing and working and on the scout team and going against our first offense every day in practice. So graduating those 3 guys gives those guys that have been working, opportunity to step in and, assume those starting roles and move forward. So again, it starts with recruiting, and it, continues to move on through making those guys work and making those guys understand that we don't expect there to be a fall off. Yeah, there was a lot of chemistry. Those guys played together, but our expectations are continue to play at a very high level across the board. At all aspects of the team, especially at the defensive end where, as you know, that's a big emphasis for me.
Tigers' #1 defense in the country last year. You also lose your goaltender, Tyler White, who was one of the top goaltenders in the country. Has a decision been made yet as to who will be in the goal against Mount St. Mary's on Saturday?
No decision yet. I don't want to say it's a race. It's a good competitive battle between Matt Hoy, Josh Miller. And I don't even want to say it's a battle. Those guys are competing to earn time, and that might be one of the other starts and plays the whole game. It might be, one gets a half, the other gets a half. Those 2 guys are definitely ahead of the freshman, Shane Brennan, right now. And Shane's seen some good action in the scrimmages, but Matt and Josh have definitely kind of separated themselves there. Been able to do some really good things in practice, competing well against each other, giving us two confident, guys to continue to evaluate and see where we want to go.
One aspect of your defense that will not change this year, and maybe among the best, if not the best group of short stick defensive middies in the country, starting with Jack Adams. Obviously, you're pleased that those guys are back.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we'd have a little bit different conversation if, all three close defensemen and we had, to replace, guys like Tyler Mays and Jack Adams, looking at 5, new starters there. But Jack allows us, I don't want to say the luxury, but the opportunity to be able to get on track faster, in regards to our defense, bringing those guys along with his communication, his leadership, those inexperienced guys at the close defense, and, continuing to expect from them what we've been able to accomplish as a defense. Zach Goodrich, I think, is one of the best midfielders in the country, complete midfielders. Offensively, defensively, wings to face off. He could face off for us, where Jack's obviously extremely talented and skilled on the defensive end, and a tough matchup for any opponent there. Zach is very good for us as a complete midfielder, and Tyler Mays continues to set the tone in practice with his intensity, his competitiveness. He brings it out in others. He goes at our number one offensive guys consistently, and then brings out their ability to get better, as well as brings out the intensity on the defensive end, and he's done very well in the scrimmages so far.
You mentioned Zach could face off. Let's go to the face-off area, which has been kind of a trouble spot for you over the last few years. It's been inconsistent, let's put it that way. How do you feel going into this season? Because I know you have a lot of new faces in there.
Yeah, the nice thing going into this year is that we feel like we have some depth, which we haven't had over the past few years. It's been Alec Berkeley, Steven Stillwell, you sprinkle in a Pat Conroy, maybe a Zach Goodrich last year every now and then. This year, with the addition of a freshman that we brought in to face off, and Jack McNallen, as well as we were able to find a couple transfers that wanted to come to Towson, and pretty talented young men, and Alex Woodall, Connor Harriman. Now you have 5 viable options, all face-off specific. You don't have
even though Pat Conroy's finally gone.
Unfortunately, I love that kid. You know that. Yeah, so they're all face-off specific. You don't have to rely so much maybe on a long stick and depleting Pat's kind of fuel tank there. Ask him to do that much more as opposed to just playing defense for us. So Alex Woodall, Connor Harriman, Alec Berkeley have been kind of the 3 top guys so far for us this preseason. And like I said, I think it allows us greater depth. It allows us more options if one of them's not having a great day, to be able to throw another guy that I think is pretty good, and ready to go to battle, as opposed to what we've experienced in the past. So I feel like we should be stronger there.
You open with Mount St. Mary's this Saturday. Many teams have already started. Many teams have already played 2 games. Your schedule has been reduced a little bit this year, from 14 games to 12. What was behind that? I know you've played more scrimmages.
Yep, a little bit of everything. The scrimmages, we wanted to get a little bit more experience in game-like situations before we actually started the season, knowing that we had some guys to, fill in new roles and get experience there. We didn't want to start too early. This past weekend, February 11th probably would have been the earliest we would have started if we would have found a viable game. There really wasn't a game out there that we wanted to pursue. So there's a little bit of those 2 things factored into it, and we felt like, shrinking our schedule a little bit as far as quantity of games might help our strength of schedule. Adding in an opponent like Denver, decreasing some of the other teams that we played against off of our schedule might help with the strength of schedule, the RPI overall. Obviously, we have to win for that to be a factor, but hopefully it allows us to be in good position come CAA tournament and hopefully, NCAA tournament time.
Well, all we know is that the Tigers have one of the most attractive home schedules in the country this year. The Tigers scheduled for a noon face-off against the Mount. I'll have the call alongside former Tiger Hunter Lochte on TowsonTigers.com starting at 11:45. We thank you for watching and hope you will be listening on Saturday at high noon as Hunter and I bring you the season opener of the Tigers. For head coach Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Have a great week, and as always, go Tigers.